Today, we're rolling up our sleeves and diving into the world of residential construction with the talented Kyle Allman. He handles everything from kitchen and bath remodels to electrical work and handyman tasks. Whether you're a seasoned pro in the industry or just curious about the world of residential construction, Kyle's experiences offer valuable lessons and a glimpse into the future of the trades. This is Career Chats with Katie and Robin.
Welcome, Kyle. We're so excited to have you on Career Chats today.
Glad to be here.
To begin, why don't you tell us what you do and what a typical day on the job looks like?
So I own my own construction company. It's residential construction. Typical day really varies depending on what I'm doing. You could start with kitchen or bath remodel, and I do all the work in those. I don't hire any subcontractors. I'm just a one-man band. I do everything. So really every day is completely different. Some days I have to go meet with clients and start bringing more work in. So it's one of those where, kind of an office day or paperwork type days. I do electric, plumbing. I've built decks. I build fences. I repair things, handyman type stuff. And again, but probably my bread and butter is a lot of kitchen and bath remodels.
Oh, nice. So how did you find yourself doing this work?
I have a bachelor's in construction management, and I worked an office job as a project manager for a commercial contractor for about 7 years. I was always doing this type of stuff on the side for friends and family, working on my own house. I just loved working with my hands and doing other projects. And then one day I just, kind of realized I've had enough and kind of, we were talking about my future at the company and I was asking them and they're asking me and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm done. Like,
yeah.
I said it and then I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? I had a relatively big job that I was working on at that time that kind of started it. And then I just kind of went off from there and just never looked back.
Wow. That's great. So what kind of requirements are necessary? You mentioned you do have your bachelor's, but if someone wanted to get into this field, really, how do you go about that in terms of schooling, certifications, training? What's the best way?
Again, I'm kind of the atypical person for this, but there's probably two ways to do it. The first one, is just start working for a contractor, maybe out of high school, or while you're still in high school in the summers, a lot of people start working for a guy that builds decks or somebody that, that builds houses, and you just start working from them. You start at the bottom and work your way up. The other one is there's a nice program here, a trade school, where you can learn it. There's a couple of probably trade schools that you can go to learn a skill, whether it's electrician or plumbing. Do a specific trade is probably what I'd recommend, really. It's a little easier, less tools involved, and you kind of know what you're doing. Otherwise, I've got a garage full of tools I can't fit a car in. But
this kind of work, there would be a lot of apprenticeships that go along with it, right?
Depending on what you're doing. If you go like journeyman, go an electrician or plumbers, there's a lot of apprenticeships that you would go through masonry. And then if you want to do a union or not, again, I'm not too familiar with those aspects. And that's the thing too, with my job, there's not really much licensing. I mean, for what I do, I kind of cringe when I say that because I do a little bit of plumbing, I do a little electric, but I'm not, it's not licensed stuff. Like I just maybe move an outlet here or there or connect a new shower to existing supplies and stuff. So it's not like I'm rebuilding a whole house and running all this electric. And half of my jobs, actually probably most of them, don't even need permits. It's just pretty light stuff.
Right. And I bet that'll vary on what state you live in, even what county you live in and whatever the ordinances are.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to know what you're doing. And more importantly, you got to know what not to do to really mess it up.
Exactly.
A tip for life right there.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part of the work?
I love that every day is different. It's one day I'm roughing in some plumbing, moving some things around. The next day I'm going to put some drywall over that. Then I got to finish the drywall. Then you paint and then flooring. And every day is different. Everything is new. But I also like when I have a job that, has a bit of a challenge or, makes me think a little bit like what's the best way to approach this?
This is an aside, but like how long does a kitchen or bathroom remodel even take?
It probably takes, depending on the remodel, if you're just ripping out cabinets, putting everything right back where it goes, 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the size of the kitchen. But if you start moving things around and, like moving the sink around, moving the electrical and walls, switches, all that stuff, it could go, 10, 12 weeks.
And that's like with you as one person. So if you had extra people, it would be quicker.
Exactly.
I was just curious.
That's probably the goal for me too, is to eventually, hire some people because right now it's really tough being a small business owner. if I'm not working, I'm not making money.
Sure. So you told us your favorite part. What's your least favorite part?
Probably it's the financial aspect of it. You don't have that steady paycheck every week, month, by whatever it is. You've got to go eat what you kill type thing. You've heard that. If you want to be lazy and take the day off and fake it sick, fine. You can call your client and tell them that, whatever. But then you're just dragging that project out. You're not getting paid for those couple of days that you take off. So, and I found myself sometimes that, I would like, had a rough week or, personal stuff got in the way. And so it's like, I have take lighter days or half days and get off early and the project drags on. Most clients, if you're honest with them, you just talk to them, have a good relationship, they're understanding. But again, it's kind of messed up your whole schedule and then you're making less money, hourly at that point.
Yeah. So what kind of personalities do you think would thrive in the day-to-day work environment?
You've got to be a hard worker. It's best if you're an early riser type, person that just gung-ho wants to get done, and you got to be willing to learn. Once you've been in it for a while, you become crusty and you can't learn anything new, a little cranky. But again, just starting out, you want to be hands-on where you just kind of absorb all the information, because you might be doing framing one day, or maybe you are working for hired on by a new home builder where you are framing, but then, hey, there's something electrical going on, or, you kind of pick up different aspects of it as well. Being willing to learn and just being open for new experiences. I think that's probably one of the key points.
Love that. Definitely. Kind of along those same lines, if you were talking to someone who's thinking like, I want to do what you do, what's the one piece of advice you'd want them to know going into it?
I think people just need to be willing to be open-minded. I learned at an early age or in my career that if you put in a good amount of effort and you show up every day and you do a good job, you'll be rewarded. And that's not quite always the case. If you let people take advantage of you, they will. So you have to be willing to know what you're worth and kind of stand up for yourself and get what kind of you deserve.
That's great advice for every field.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you think there will be more or less opportunities for people to do this type of work in the future?
It's tough to say, but I think there will be more. If you think about today's culture, there's less people going into the trade schools and learning how to work with their hands. We've kind of become a throwaway culture with IKEA furniture and things like that, where, it's easily to replace them. But again, I think you're always going to have a need for people like me to do your honey-do list, especially if you don't have the tools or capability, or you just frankly don't have the time. You just don't have the desire. You'd rather pay somebody to do it to get it done right. Hopefully, and I do believe that there will be a more of a need for trade skills. And the other reason I think that is because I've noticed a lot of my clients have hired me because their handyman has retired or their go-to guy. So I've noticed a lot of people, aging out.
You've been doing this for a while. You're a one-man show right now. Is this sort of what you plan on doing for the next foreseeable future?
That's a good question. Did my fiance put you up to that question? Because I'm getting married, having kids. When I started the business, and that was one of the reasons I did it, is because my personal overhead, if you will, is not going to get any cheaper. I didn't have any dependents at the time. Truck was paid off, all these things. So it's like, that was the time to do it. And I did, and I'm happy with it. But now, growing up a little bit, life changes. I've got to kind of make that decision. Do I continue doing this? Again, I have a lot of clients, and all my clients in the last 4 years that I've been doing this are 100% referrals. I don't do any advertising. It's all just word of mouth. So I've got a good list, and it continues to build up. But again, it's kind of that uncertainty that you don't know. So ideally, I would like to hopefully grow the business, find the right people to start working for me that I can train and mold. So if there's anybody that's looking, hit me up. But again, I've got to find the right person that, is, again, willing to learn, willing to show up. And I do talk to a lot of other guys in the trade, and they right now, it's hard to find people is what they're telling me, to even get people to show up every day or just tell me if you're not going to be, whatever. And so again, doing what I'm doing, if I got to go demo a bathroom or kitchen or something one day and have somebody to help me and they don't show up that day.
It'll take you longer, and then you're still scrambling to find another person that's reliable.
Exactly. Especially if I told the client to, it's, oh yeah, I've got a helper now. It's only going to take me 6 weeks to do this, but then they bail on me. It's, or every other day, it's going to take a lot longer. So
beyond getting, paid, because we all need to get paid, what type of perks or benefits does your career bring you?
So I think with any small business like mine, it's flexibility in your schedule. I can easily move things around and work half days, or if I need to get off for a family, or again, my schedules can be somewhat fluid, Again, if you have that relationship with your clients, you're working on a bathroom remodel for a while, it's like, hey, I got to take this one day off, or, whatever. They're usually understanding. And the flexible schedule is just wonderful.
I was thinking, if I were in your shoes, if I showed up to a place and I didn't like the people, you could say you don't want that job, right? You can pick and choose who your clients are.
Absolutely. I have fired a client or two. That's what I call it. Every situation is different. You can kind of have your unit pricing. All right, I'm doing this much flooring. It's this amount, X per square foot or whatever. You kind of figure out that. But there's also factors, specific to the job that might raise that price, or even the client is kind of the headache factor.
The personality factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to be nitpicky and standing over you as you're working, and it's going to take me more time then. So price is going to be more.
Yeah, because they could be the ones prolonging the job, and you deserve to be paid for that time.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So it's kind of a challenge sometimes to read that, but I think I've become pretty good at reading people, and I get along with most people. So if there's any red flags, I usually can kind of pick up on it and maybe this isn't the best fit,
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to know about the construction industry or working for yourself?
I'd say if you're interested, give it a try, especially younger people, listeners. If you have any interest, go find somebody that's doing this, like anything in the construction, whether again it's framing crew, drywall, roofing, or somebody, working even a cabinet shop or flooring shop or anything. Just go talk to them. Since I got with my college degree, I had to get an internship, and they paid, one of the few paid interns, as there's money to be made there. So if you have an interest, go do it. Try it out.
I love that.
Okay, so just for fun, if you were not doing this, what job would you choose for yourself, real or imaginary?
Well, it's funny because I thought about being a teacher early on in my career. I thought that would be fun, and then maybe teach math and coach high school golf or something like that. I think that'd be fun to do.
That's very specific.
You have that cool teacher vibe. I could see, all the kids being like, Mr. A, he's awesome.
There you go. I am pretty cool. I mean, I do love teaching people and helping people learn new things, and even my clients, I explain to them oftentimes, like if they have an interest, I'll let them sit down and do grout with me. I don't care, Yeah. Now, if you make a mistake, then it's great. Then I can just say, oh, that was your mistake, not mine.
That was your problem.
I love that.
I do love teaching, and it does kind of, I guess, run in the family a little bit with my grandma, but
Go be a teacher in the trades, right? When you're sick of buying tools.
Yeah, that's true.
that could be that's a good point.
Go teach the next generation of handyman.
That's a good point. Look at you, career advice here.
Kyle, thank you so much for being here today. This was so great, and we really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Career Chats is hosted by Katie Huddleston and Robin Coney. Show notes and guest info can be found on our website, careerchats.show. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love you to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, stay curious.